Hey guys, so previous video I talked about our experience of my friend, my Canadian friend almost got pickpocketed in Kuta in Bali. And in this video I'm going to talk about my experience of almost got scammed in Bali, specifically in Ubud. Ubud is the kind of like 1 hour and a half away from Seminyak, Kuta area up in the north, center of the Bali, where kind of like near the mountain where the monkey forest is located, where you can see monkeys in a sanctuary, and also it's 10-15 minutes away from the rice terrace, and also 1 hour away from Ulun Danu temple. So I'm gonna share with you guys my experience of like how we almost got scammed. Apparently, I didn't think it was scam, but it might be intention. Like maybe the driver was doing this over and over again. It was maybe intentional. And I believe after talking to my friend, who also shared this kind of similar experience about taxi scam in other countries, I come to think that maybe this was kind of intentional. That means it was like kind of scam. Because I kind of gave a driver a benefit of the doubt because he was playing or acting innocent and also friendly, and he's also playing a victim of what happened. But looking back with a bunch of facts, I believe that I need to hold him accountable for what he did. So I'm gonna go over a few points of what happens and how I brought up those points to a driver to discuss and kind of persuade him not to do it my way. So in Ubud, we booked a half a day dedicated driver and a taxi. So half a day from 6 to noon, kind of 6 hours. So it was like a kind of negotiation done on, the guy was on the street and it was in the box. And then we talked to them about taxi service. And so basically, we wanted to go to 3 places in Ubud, near Ubud. First, Ulunu Danu temple up north, 1 hour away. And then second, we wanted to go to Banu Wana waterfall, which is 10 minutes away from Ulunu Danu temple, right? Temple, waterfall, and then third place we wanted to visit is the rice terrace, which is 10-15 minutes north of Ubud. And we also communicated to him that we wanted to leave 6:30 in the morning because that day weather forecast said from 11 a.m. 12 p.m. the precipitation rain probability was like 80, 90, 100%. And we wanted to avoid rain. We wanted to go to those places before it starts raining. That's why we wanted to. And then the most important thing that I wanted to do was a temple and a waterfall. So my plan was to leave Ubud 6:30, 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. By 8 a.m. for sure, or 7:30, we get to temple, right? And it's still sunny, not raining. 8. And at 9 a.m., we could get to waterfall, take picture, fly my drone. And then 10 a.m., we can head to Rice Terrace, and then 10 to 11 or 10 to 11, we can just fly drone and then take photos real quick and then come back. And then from there, lastly, we kind of agreed on him driving us back to Seminyak, which is a kind of hour and a half away from Ubud. So it's a 3 places, dedicated driver and a taxi, and then also a drive back to Seminyak. All included, half a day, we agreed for 400,000 rupee, which is about, 400. So 100 is about 6-7 euros, so 25 euros, right? We agreed. And then we also told him that night that in the order of the places we should visit because of the weather constraint. Next morning, he came to our hotel to pick us up 7 a.m. It's not 6:30. We agreed to 6:30. He came 30 minutes late. 7 a.m. And I told him again, Ulunu Danu temple first because still weather forecast. I don't want to get rained out, right? Somehow, so first thing, 30 minutes late. Second thing, he started driving to the northeast, right? The Ulunu Danu temple is northwest, but Rice Terrace is northwest, somehow northeast. Somehow he started driving to northeast, and then stopped by at the Rice Terrace. And I asked him, like, hey, why are you driving us to Rice Terrace? I told you to go to Ulunu Danu temple. Why are you doing that? And then he said on the spot, oh, I'm sorry, this is the only way I know. This is the only way I know to get to Ulunu Danu temple by going through Rice Terrace. I felt kind of odd because there's a Google map and he has a phone too. And he's a local guy, right? I felt odd. And I showed him my friend who's sitting in the back seat as well. hey, this doesn't look right, that route. Because if we go to the northeast, go to the rice terrace, from rice terrace to Urundam Temple, so we need to go all the way up to the mountain, like a volcano mountain, and then there are a lot of like in between. So it's like a triangle trip, and it'll take us 2 hours more to get to temple from that rice terrace. So it's like, was there something wrong? And I showed that Google map to my friend, and it was weird. And then the taxi driver said, oh, that's fine. From rice terrace to Urundam Temple is only 20 minutes. Of course not, because the Google map said 1 hour and 40 minutes. But he ignored that, and I kind of brush it off because he said 20 minutes. Maybe he knows the shortcut, whatnot. But somehow he ended up, so he stopped at the rice terrace, asked me, hey, do you want to take a picture? I said, no, I want to go to temple first. So we kind of drove by rice terrace for no reasons. And then so he went up to the mountain volcano, and then from there, 2 hours at the Urundam Temple, right? So by the time we got to Urundam Temple, it was 10 a.m. 10 a.m. And then we quickly took pictures at the temple. We couldn't fly drone because of the sign. And then we got back to the car, and on the way to a waterfall, 5 minutes after we left the temple, it started raining. It was like about 10:30, 10:45. It started raining, like pouring rain. I was like, oh my fucking God. This is what I wanted to avoid. And this is a reason why I told him 6:30 and the first place to go is a temple. And he took a detour, wasted 2 hours of our time by going to the different location, plus 30 minutes coming late, 2 hours and a half. We already 10:30, 10:45, and it was pouring rain. We got to waterfall kind of location. It was raining, and then I was like, this is like over. There's no point coming to waterfall because it's raining hard, and then there's no point going back to rice terrace because weather forecast said until 3 p.m. it's raining. I was like, it's over. It's fucked up. So in a car, raining, and then we started talking. Like in a car, we had a discussion, more like argument or debate for like 30 minutes. Right? I told him like, hey, this is not what I asked you. This is not the service that you're providing. And I asked him like, hey, if we're gonna wait until rain to stop here so that we can go down to the waterfall and go back to rice terrace to take a picture, as we promised for the 3 locations as a service, and then going back to Semiak, I told him it'll probably take maybe 2-3 more hours. So maybe like 3 p.m. as opposed to finishing at noon. So I told him, hey, so you came late for 30 minutes, and then also you wasted 2 hours of our time by going to different locations that we didn't ask for, and pretending he doesn't know, even if a Google Map says, the route. I asked him, hey, you know what? We agreed for noon, like half a day, but because of the 2.5 hours wasted, it'll probably take 2-3 more hours to do everything. And would you be able to do that? He said, no, I'm sorry. We are supposed to be finishing at noon. So if you go over extra hours, then you need to pay us 350,000 rupees more, which is like another $20. And I was like, no, freaking no. Like, no. Like, and he said, like, normally we charge 350, but, we only give you, we can give you kind of discount for 300,000. I was like, no. Normally 350 by 300. No, you wasted 2.5 hours of our time, and you didn't provide the services that we agreed upon, right? He didn't take us to a temple first, and the second, waterfall and a rice terrace. So 2.5 hours, he basically wasted about 6 hours. So I told him that it's kind of like a scam. You're basically wasting time going around the longer way so that you can overcharge customer. So this is a scam, I told him. And he said like, no, my company, blah, blah, blah. It's booked by company, and, if we go over that time, then we need to charge, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. I was like, no, this is a scam. This is a scam. We didn't ask you to drive to, like the volcano and all that 2.5 hours bullshit. But he kept insisting, no, 300 more, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hell no, right? I was like, this is like so wrong. Like he didn't even deliver the service we asked and we agreed upon. So I told him, hey, you know what? I'm going to get off this taxi because last night, that night before, I paid him 100,000 rupee as a deposit, which means I was going to pay him upon the arrival in Semiak. After he delivered us to drop us off at Semiak at the final destination, I was to pay the rest, which is 300,000 rupees more. So total 400,000. but 100 as deposit, 300 as a after. So I told him like, I'm gonna get off the taxi right now because this is a scam, and we're gonna find a taxi to go back to Semyak for extra 300,000, which I haven't paid him yet. So which means he's gonna end up getting 100,000 just for deposit because he didn't provide any services. He said like, he saw me being angry and raising voice and calling him out and then asking him a call to action, urgent action that we're gonna leave right now, and he's gonna just have just 100,000 deposit in his hand. He said, okay, blah blah blah, maybe I can just So we negotiated, right? So I said like, he's saying like, maybe I can give you 1 hour extra, so 12 to 1 p.m. I said no, because you wasted 2.5 hours. So give us back 2.5 hours you wasted. But he said no, I can only give you 1 hour more. It's like that's not just fair. And he's telling us, 1 hour extra is like 80, so 2 hours 160, blah blah blah, it adds up. They're like, no. That's like you're overcharging customers, just scamming by intentionally going on a route that takes us longer and wasting time. Plus, he was late for 30 minutes. I kept insisting. He was like, no. And then finally I said, like, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm going to just leave this taxi and find a taxi. And then he said, it's okay. Just enjoy the waterfall and take your time, maybe 1 hour and 30 minutes. Enjoy your time and then come back. And we're going to, drive you back to Semyak. And, you don't need to worry about extra hours, blah, blah, blah. And we agreed that I'm going to pay him extra 100 for, it was already noon after argument for 30 minutes. It was already noon and rain stopped. It's already noon. He said, like, enjoy your time in waterfall. And that's probably take us like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So by the time we come back to the taxi, it was 12:45. And from there, 1 hour and a half back to Semyak. So probably 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., right? He said, it's okay, just 100. You pay me 100 extra and I'm going to, drop you off at Semyak, So that's that. We finally agreed upon that. And we went down to waterfall thinking that maybe he leave our bag. We locked up our bag in the car, but I have some concern that he's going to just leave without us and he's going to take our baggage. But one of my friend was like a local Indonesian girl, and she was always translating what I'm saying to him in English in Indonesia. She said, fine, he cannot do that, blah, blah, blah. She took a screenshot of his phone and but we didn't take a photo of his car number, which I wanted to do, but I couldn't because he was watching us. But anyways, 45 minutes after we came back, he was still there. And then boom, next drama. Car doesn't turn on, car doesn't turn on. And I was like, oh my God, is this another accident or was this a plate incident? But anyway, so he called the engineer, and then 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe 20 minutes we are waiting. But anyway, so he was telling us while we are waiting, if the car cannot get fixed, then he's gonna call his friend, and then we need to pay 300,000 more for the taxi service back to Semyak, as opposed to what the agreement we had, which is basically 100 more for going back to Semyak. And it was kind of strange, and also he only had 1,000 in cash, so he told us if fixing the car costs more than 100,000, we need to pay for fixing the car because he has only 100,000. I was like, that's so odd, right? Because that's supposed to be paid by company, not customers, for fixing car. But anyways, the guy already came and then kind of switched up, replaced the battery, and the car started. So fortunate. And then eventually, so we went back to the car repair store so that he can pay. It was 60. My Indonesian local friend was outside listening to the conversation because she was also suspecting that he was trying to scam us. And she heard that the guy told the driver that the cost was 60. But the driver told her, it was 160. So he added up a number. So the cost was supposed to be 60. But he told the girl, the local, like Indonesian, 160. Maybe he tried to scam us, right? There. That's why she was outside listening to the conversation. Because because the driver could have easily told us, it was at 200 for fixing. Can you pay 100 more? Because I don't have cash, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually, he paid 60 out of his pocket. We didn't pay. Eventually, 2 hours later, we came back to Semyak. So we arrived there around 3:30ish. And I went to the ATM to take out money from the ATM and then gave him 400 more. So 100 deposit and then 300 more plus 100 more as we agreed upon. So 400 plus 100, total 500,000 for that. And that was it. And he was like telling us like, oh, I'm sorry for this, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, I didn't know about, navigation thing, about Urundan Temple. That doesn't make sense as a local taxi driver. And he was apologetic, and he was like, he played kind of like a victim of the whole incident. And then, so I didn't blame him because he couldn't speak English, and it was our conversation translated by a local Indonesian girl. And also she apologized to him, for this, because she was like feeling bad about this whole thing. I think this is also another tactic maybe he used subconsciously to make us feel bad, especially the Indonesian girl, because she felt bad that we didn't pay for extra hours. But she told me initially that when we were arguing at the waterfall, that if car cannot get fixed, we need to call his friends and then have the friend drive us back to Semiak and pay 300 more. And I said, no, of course not. It's your company's problem, and we agreed for the services, and you didn't provide. So no matter what, like, why do I pay 300 more? But she told me, no, that's not polite. We need to pay 300 more for the extra taxi. But they're all company, right? And I said, no. I was persistent and was stubborn for the services that we agreed upon. And car can be broken, but that's not our issue, right? As a customer, that's a liability that company needs to take care of by insurance or something. It's not customer's fault. Anyway, so she apologized to the driver, blah, 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 because she said like, oh, I need to apologize to him for, blah, blah, blah. But what, honestly, looking back, and after that, I told that story to my Canadian friend, and it sounded like more like, yeah, it was probably intentional, because he told me, he shared the story about how the taxi driver intentionally broke the car. There was like a switch to turn off. There was maybe some switch to make the car not to make the car not turn on again. After I heard that story, I didn't know anything about car because I don't drive and I don't have a driver license, but it seems like it's possible to turn off the switch so that car doesn't turn on. And then they play like a victim, and also he got into trouble with the boat as well. He went to Rombak, and they overloaded the people on the boat. So the boat broke down, and it was supposed to be 1 hour ride, but it took him like half hour. And also he said like his staff baggage in the boat, he looked up everything, but he said coming back, he noticed that all the pockets outside pockets are open. So he said like the probably local guys tried to steal something from the pockets. So that's pretty sketchy and scary, right? So he told me that story, and I realized, okay, maybe the car not turning on was maybe intentional. Maybe he left the car engine on to try to run over the battery, and then he played that. Maybe possible, right? Scam, definitely scam. And obviously 2.5 hours taking detour, wasting 2.5 hours of our time to make us pay more, 300 more, is definitely intentional, a planned act, and then definitely I can say this is like a scam. But I did not fall into that. I persisted for what we asked for, and he clearly didn't deliver what we asked for. Clearly, we told him like 3, 4, 5 times. First, go to temple, and he went to Rice and went to the northeast, and we spent 2 hours to the temple. Temple, we're supposed to get there by 7 or 8. 8. We got there actually 10. It got rained out. I was pretty upset and angry and mad. Obviously, he pretended like he was innocent. Oh, sorry, I didn't know the road. But this is a story about taxi scam. I paid extra 100. Anyways, this is a pretty scammy stuff. I got so wary after this. The whole day, like, it's a fiasco. We woke up like 5, and waited for 6:30 ride, and he came 7, and we got back to Semiak like 4 p.m. exhausted for all the arguments and like car broken down and all the scenarios we need to think about, translation. We got tired. This is our experience. Scam, Bali. So hope you're gonna be prepared for your trip next time. And if you have some kind of similar experience, you can share your experience in the comment below. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.